Hi everybody, my name is Amanda Smith and this is my coworker Randy Marx. Today we're going to talk about the corn silage harvesting process and how to prepare for it with your team. When we put up corn silage, we get one chance at it and we have to live with what we do for the rest of the year. When we put up about 10,000 tons of corn silage, that's about $500,000 worth of feed sitting on that pad. So we need to do the best job we can to make sure that we've got the feed we want to feed for the next year. Meeting with your team ahead of time to set up your expectations can really help make it a successful harvest this fall. So today we're going to talk about how we've set up team meetings on other farms, what we're really focusing on, and how we maintain that communication throughout the harvest.
And the whole team, including everybody on the dairy, along with the custom operator, gets everybody on the same page. Some of the key areas that we focus in on is what the dairy is looking for the proper moisture. Some dairies like the corn silage a little bit wetter, some like it a little bit drier. But having a key idea of when to start, including working with your agronomist and having him set up to some dates on what's the proper time to get started. Usually starting a little bit wetter is a good idea, and then following up that you don't get it too dry at the end. Another area that we really concentrate on is the kernel processing. If you look at some of the research that we did way back when kernel processing first started coming in, there were some studies done by the University of Washington State where they talked about 3 to 5 pounds more milk. This year, being that the crop is a little more ahead and we're probably going to be a very mature crop this year, our kernel processing is going to be even more of a critical time because we really got to get that kernel busted up. There is some things that we can do by sending samples into the lab to figure out where our kernel processing is. The whole staff at CP, we can do on-farm tests and checking it over. One of the real key areas is just look to see how it's processed. Don't see a lot of yellow in that corn silage is going to be one of the key areas that we look for. And then the last thing is the chop length. Chop length is going to vary from dairy to dairy depending on what other ingredients that they have. Is it a high corn silage diet? But again, having everybody focus on the same thing, again on that chop length being very important. The fourth thing that we really talk about a lot with the team is packing, and the area of the pile or the bunkers, to have somebody that's, whether he's on the pack tractor, but somebody that's kind of in charge to manage and keep track of everybody coming and going. The packing, the big key is how many tractors do we need on the pile. There's some formulas that you can use to figure out how many tons per hour that you can bring in based on how many tractors and tractor weight that you have on that pile. So again, packing is another one of the key areas that we're after for a good corn silage harvest.
So the final things we really want to focus on when we meet as a team are covering the pile as we go, especially if we have a large pile that we're putting up, to help us avoid getting any rain or moisture on that after we've got it packed tight. And finally, we really want to focus on safety, making sure that the team knows the protocols to keep them safe throughout the entire harvest. We really want to emphasize that as we go. So some of the things we'll talk about is always watching where all the other equipment is on the pile and on the pad, and not having any riders along with you so that you don't get distracted, knowing we're going to have some really long days. So as we get into corn silage, we're about 45 days away right now. We really need to look at communicating with our team, making sure we're on the same page for what our goals are as we get into harvest season. Make sure we're on the same page for moisture, kernel processing, and chop length to get the product we want. And then looking at proper packing, making sure we're going to have enough weight on that pile for what's coming in, making sure that we're going to be able to cover it as we go to help keep the best product possible, and then making sure we create a safe environment for our entire team. If you have any questions about setting up a meeting, reach out to your CP Feeds nutritionist. Thank you.
Have a good, safe harvest.